greatly reduces our local detention population. Next slide. So as I mentioned before, we're currently accepting applications for PICF, and those will close on April 11th. So any local organizations, nonprofits, or state agencies have up to the 11th to apply for that funding. The next funding source that can be used to support reentry efforts is the Residential Substance Use Treatment Grant Program. RSAT assists in state and local government agencies in the development and implementation of substance use disorder treatment programs. And this can be used for individuals in both local and state correctional facilities, but it can also be used for post-incarceration treatment and community reintegration services. So again, funding can be used to support substance use treatment, but also the aftercare services that a lot of individuals needs. Most of our grantees use this funding to support MAP programs, but we also have a few grantees that are using this to support residential reentry housing for individuals. And again, this is a federal funding source, so it's more of a formula funding. So it varies each year on the amount of money that we receive. Next slide. So our BJAG, or Burn Justice Assistant Grant Program, is another federal funding source that our office receives. It's not specific to reentry programming, but it also makes it very competitive. So it can be very broadly used. Reentry is one of the initiatives that it can support, though. And as you can see here, BJAG can support a wide range of reentry initiatives. So I'm just gonna go over a few, but I'm happy to share a one-pager that our office puts out to educate individuals on what they can use this funding for. So funds can be allocated to support corrections and community corrections initiatives. So that includes any kind of like holistic reentry programming. It can support health and mental health programs, behavioral health programs, crisis intervention teams. It can be used to support drug treatment programs. It is open to, again, our local government organizations, state agencies, and nonprofit and faith-based organizations to provide mentorship, case management, any kind of peer support. It can also be used to support law enforcement and probation and parole agencies. It can be used to support legal aid services, driver's licenses, assistance in obtaining any kind of vital documentation. So it's really broad on what BJAG can be used for. So next slide, please. I do want to just touch on a couple of things that our office does to support reentry efforts. So the first thing is our JRA newsletter. The newsletter shares grant opportunities, so all of our grant opportunities that we release within our office, but it also shares a lot of our federal opportunities and any kind of reentry related events and statewide reentry resources. So we have housing resources on there so that, you know, we can really create a reentry network. We also host a reentry simulation every year for Second Chance Month. So for anyone that has never participated in a reentry simulation, the simulation demonstrates the struggles and challenges faced by individuals who are transitioning. The goal of the simulation is for participants to gain an understanding of obstacles faced by the men and women, again, attempting to re-enter. So this year's simulation will be held in Annapolis at the Judiciary Building on April 21st. So I'd be happy to share that invite for anyone that's interested in attending. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch on was our sim mapping. So the sequential intercept model details how individuals with mental health and substance use come into contact with the criminal justice system. So through the Centers of Excellence within GOCAP, we get communities together to plot the resources and gaps across each jurisdiction. We identify local behavioral health programs and services. We identify reentry programming just to, really help individuals when they're moving through the criminal justice system. So I think that is it. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah. Yes, thanks, Brandy. Good to see you. Question, is Maryland going to join Reentry 2030? Do you know?
You know what? Our office hasn't been involved in that, but maybe AS Brooks or
Okay.
Ellen might be able to answer that question because I know that I've talked to them about that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I can just jump in. We've had some preliminary discussions with the stakeholders of 2030, and Secretary Scruggs and Assistant Secretary Brooks would like us to move forward with joining Maryland 2030.
Oh, that's good news. That's
Yep.
great. Thanks for letting us know.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you, Ms. Khan, for your presentation. A question relative to the federally funded opportunities. Are those dollars secure, or are they subject to being pulled at some point?
So for RSAT, we currently have an allocation at least for this year. So nothing will change at least for the next couple of years, because the way that it works is that we are only able to, we didn't spend RSAT for a number of years just because nobody wanted the federal funds, basically. So we have a backlog of federal funding. So we probably have close to $1.1 million that we're able to use, but we can only allocate 1 year's worth of federal funding each year. So it's kind of tricky the way that the federal funds work with our office, because we can only spend a certain amount every year. And it changes every year. Again, it's one of those block grants, it's a formula grant that we're not sure how much we're going to get every year. So we will definitely have it this year, and I can definitely see it, or I can most likely see us having it next year too.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I wanted to ask how we can sign up for the JRA newsletter.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share that information. I'll definitely share the newsletter, our simulation, our NOFAs, any of the resources I alluded to in my presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the great presentation. I was going to ask similarly to just the previous question on, I don't know if I missed it, but did you mention due dates in the presentation for those various things, or?
Yeah, so the only grant opportunity that is open right now is the Performance Incentive Grant Fund, and that is due on April 11th. Again, I'll share that NOFA with Chair Hatch. And for the federal funding sources, they run on the federal fiscal year. So that will start October 1st through September 30th of the next year. So those NOFAs won't go out until midsummer.
Okay, thank you.
Who wants to go first? I'll go first. Is that okay? Yes. My name is Donna Cobb. I am the chair of the Report and Recommendations Committee. My vice chair is Christian Gant, who could not be here today, but he and I spoke this week, and we're going to be setting up our first meeting in April. So members of this committee can expect to get a doodle poll from me to look for dates that work for folks. It won't be a Monday because that's a bad day for Mr. Gant, but initially we'll be talking about some sort of very, shall I say, mundane things, but important nonetheless, which include who's going to print this report, who's going to take pictures for this report, what's the format going to look like? I would really ask everyone on my committee to take a look at the MEJC format report that just came out and see what you think about how it looks, and just how it's organized. So we're going to start out with those kinds of conversations, and then because what our job, of course, is to accept the recommendations from all the other committees and then turn that into the report. So we'll be talking about how best to do that, timing of that, a timeline, and sharing information about reports that we've seen from other states, other organizations. I'd love to know if anybody on this call is going to I think LaShawn's on this call. So there's a National Returning Citizens Conference on the weekend of April 11th and 12th in Columbus, Ohio. And I'm not able to go this year, but I went last year. And of course, that's a great place to find people speaking about best practices and innovations. So if anyone's going, please let me know because I'd like to pick your brain after it's over. So that's pretty much the report from our committee. So you can look forward. I have everyone's email that's been assigned to our committee, and you'll be hearing from me to try to find a date and time that works for us. We'd like to set up a regular time, so knowing that if we don't have anything to talk about, at least the time's protected and we can cancel it. But so if anyone's got questions for me, great. Other than that, that's our report.
Joshua, I just want to clarify, this is Ellen, that in terms of the incarcerated individuals survey that's going out on the tablets, there's a process that has to be done. So we're trying to work out those details as we speak. So it has not been approved to go on at this moment. And a lot of it has to do with the technology part of it. So I just wanted to make sure that the committee understood that there's a process that has to be done behind the scenes. Mm. Okay.
Yes, I just have a question about the Friday meeting. I see there's an option to dial in remotely. Is that because you said feel free to come? Is it in person or is there that option to dial in remotely? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I can jump in next if that's okay. So we met one time since our last full group meeting, and that was the second time that our subcommittee met. And so we are I'm one of the co-chairs for the post-release and expansion subcommittee. So we've thus far met on February 14th, and then March 14th we just was our last meeting. And so within those two meetings, I think I had spoke previously. We really spent a lot of time talking through the work plan. So the first meeting, February 14th, we solidified the areas of focus that we wanted to focus on for the post-release and expansion subcommittee. And from there, we thought about who on the committee might fit well with some of the focus areas. And so the 8 focus areas, which I believe really came from the original, from the original legislation. So housing services, employment and entrepreneurship, socialization and mentorship, health and wellness, legal assistance, educational support, coordination with county reentry programs, and then any other additional services that are not included in those. And so within the last meeting, after solidifying those were the things we wanted to focus on, we started to assess existing services within the state. And so that's one of our first goals. We actually, there are, Return Home Baltimore is a site that, one of our colleagues here is the leader of. We're actually hoping to invite Donna Cobb to our next meeting, so we could talk a little bit more. And I've already extended the invite, and I think she'll be able to join us this next meeting to our committee members. That's an update that I'll be having coming soon. But there was also another site. I'm scrambling through the notes. If one of the committee members that was actually, I believe, Michael, I don't know if he's here, was one of the ones that was telling us about it. But there's a few sites that are, so Return Home Baltimore, if you're not familiar with it, is mostly Baltimore specific, but it's services that would be great for, or that would be helpful to people coming home throughout Baltimore City. And so there's a couple of sites that have this kind of repository of services. So we are assessing those sites as one of the first things that we're doing. And one of the things that we're going to ask Donna is, what, for instance, our organization is on that site. I can recall how she, had personal conversations with me and people on the team to assess what we do. And so we were actually wanting to meet with you to kind of think about, or ask you about what that methodology is. Because one of the first things that we thought to do is give an assessment of, are these, from sites like Return Home Baltimore, and these others that we found that have a collection of services, what are actually still active? Is there a way to get an understanding of what their impact is? And so we wanted to understand, Return Home Baltimore, for instance's methodology behind answering those questions. So a lot of our conversation was around that. And then we also began to think about, again, what are success markers or metrics of success for reentry. So to tag right along with the assessment of existing services, we really want to start thinking about how are these services measuring what they deem to be success. I think I'll stop there, and maybe if any one of our committee members want to jump in on anything that I may have missed. We have a recurring meeting. It's on the 14th of, or I should say, it's on the second Friday of every month. It's been on the 14th these past 2 months. And anyone is welcome to join. I think I'll drop the link in the chat. But one of our key action items for the next month is again to meet with these Donna, as well as some of the other people that are leading these other sites that we found that have these collection of services.
Dr. Andres, this is Melvin. I think the other site was the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services. I believe
Okay.
was on the site.
Yes. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And we were actually, I don't see it. Is Michael on the call? I can't see everybody. But I think he was going to try to reach out to somebody. But if somebody knows who's like an administrator for that, we wanted to reach out to them to try to get an understanding of their methodology of how they put these services on their site.
I haven't seen the DPSCS site. I don't think. I'd love to. Yeah.
If you give me a second, I could drop it in the chat. It's a Maryland-wide. It's Maryland-wide. And I'll find it in a second to drop it.
Yeah, and Dr. Stanley, after offline, I'll send you the other sites that I know about to make sure they are the ones you're looking at or can be added to.
Okay, yeah, that would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm. I just want to let folks know that I somehow am the recipient of all kinds of great information about reentry. And in fact, I sent a couple things around today to Chairman Hatch and the other subcommittee chairs, but I wanted to alert you all that there's a library on our Google Drive where there are some resource documents, and Chairman Hatch, is that the best place to just upload those? And I don't want to overwhelm people with emails, what do you suggest? So for
Do you want
so
to go ahead and drop it in the chat for folks right now?
yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, that'd be great. And then so for example, there's this organization out there. It's I can't remember what it's in MDRC. They do tons of deep dive research into various areas, issues, programs that affect low-income people. And they just did a report on a program in LA in which, pardon me, Department of Parole brings in all the various agencies under one roof and works with people. And I'm not sure if we do that in Maryland, actually. So I'll put it in I'll put it in the library now to take a look at it. Sorry, is that a cough?
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Bye.